Welcome to Africa Media Australia. My name is Clyde Salum Mushrati, and tonight I have a guest, and I'll just give him the opportunity to introduce himself. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Daniel Howell Michael, and it's a pleasure being here.
All right, Daniel, how's life?
Life's beautiful at the moment.
All right, thanks very much for your time and coming to AMA Studio. We're just going to have a chat about yourself. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, at the moment, I wear a couple of different hats. I'm a civil engineering student. Mm-hmm. I'm also starting up a radio project called African Australian Voice at 3CR.
Okay.
And we're about to go live to air on Sunday afternoons, so look out for that.
What?
Also recently, I'm also an actor, so I finished a show called Blackface White Mask, and that was played at the Malthouse Theatre, and to a sold-out audience. We got The Age came and reviewed it. We got 3.5 stars out of 5, so we were quite happy.
That's great. That's great, and that's more than 2 hats, by the way. That's probably 4 hats, if I can count properly. So quite a lot of talents there.
Yeah, a very dynamic group we have there.
All right, that's good. That's good. Tell us, how long have you been in Australia for?
Well, okay, so I came here in '95, so that would make it. Whoa. For an engineer, that's not good. 17 years.
17, well, that's a long time. That's a long time. So you must have been very young when you came to Australia.
Yeah, I was a 5-year-old when I came.
Okay, good. Well, and what does it feel like growing up in Australia from parents from Africa with a bit of a African culture there, balancing the two? How has it been for you?
Well, I think I'm sometimes a unique situation because I came here with my uncle. I didn't come here with my immediate family.
Okay.
So I'm the only immediate member of my family who's here.
Wow.
So I grew up with my uncle and his family. And, at quite a young age, I moved on. I started living independently at the age of 15. So, I had to learn and navigate the system and, grow up really quickly.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a different experience. I didn't have the same challenges as a lot of other Africans do with, the parents telling them, okay, you have to, do this, because it's part of your culture, and then going to school and, acting and behaving in a different way and trying to take on different, events and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I totally do understand it because, through my theatre, we actually explore the politics and the culture of our identities because, it's very complicated. We're trying to create a new identity in our new home, and it's something that's challenging.
Absolutely.
And most people don't give it enough time. There's not enough insight into it. So for our generation, it's a unique challenge.
It is. And what country did you come from?
So I was born in Sudan.
Sudan.
And my parents are from Ethiopia. Ask me, who are you? I'm Daniel Howell Michael. Where are you from? From Flemington. I just like to keep it simple.
Absolutely. Because otherwise it's a very long story.
It is. It's a very long story. You have to bring out this, and then they ask you why. Well, you're born in Sudan, so what's all this Ethiopian thing? Oh, my parents are from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Then why do you have such an Aussie accent? Well, I grew up here.
Now, one thing, correct me if I'm wrong. It looks to me that many of our youngsters, young African boys and girls, appear not to really understand the amount of opportunities that are available in Australia compared to other countries with migrants. Is that your feeling as well?
No, I don't actually think. I don't totally agree with your statement. I agree with half of it, but I think our young people haven't had the same experiences as our elders have because they've come. They know the opportunities because they didn't have them. Whereas here, sometimes I think young people take it for granted those opportunities, and sometimes because there's a lack of role models out there, they think that who am I to be the first person to achieve this for my family and for my community?
That's right.
Because you're a new emerging community. So I think there's a bit of apprehension. It's like, oh, can we really do this? Like, is it really possible for us? And I think that's something, that confidence is something the elders should kind of pass on, not from a nagging position of, you don't know what opportunities you have, but from a, you can do it, just take your time and that kind of supportive kind of thing,
Absolutely. And I guess I agree with what you're saying. sometimes to realize that the opportunities are there, there's a bit of a history, that the weight of history in your mindset that will tell you, hey, this is different from that, and therefore I gotta grab because this is better.
Yeah.
For young people, they've grown up in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They don't have that sort of history.
Exactly.
They think everything is just right until it starts going away. Then people start realizing, hey, things are changing a little bit.
Yeah. I guess if you've never experienced, I think young people do experience hardship in Australia, but if you don't understand what opportunities that you couldn't have had, or
other people are living, for instance, and the situation they're in compared to what you're in now, there's nothing to compare with, sort of.
Exactly. I think everything you're almost given, and so it's easy to sit back and say, well, why do I need to work? I think some of the young people fall into that trap.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about Flemington, because it's an area that has been, unfortunately, from time to time, been involved in quite a lot of issues from the African Australian perspective. There's been a few issues there. Tell us, how long have you been living in that area?
Whoa, man! Close to 10 years, I think I lived there.
All right, what are some of the issues there from your perspective?
From my perspective, it's I'll take you on a little journey from me growing up there, because I lived there for quite a while. When we first moved in, we're all young, innocent kids, and the flats, basically, if people don't know about it, it's a place that can hold close to 4,000 or 5,000 people in a very small location.
That's right.
And
with the high rises.
The high rises, yeah.
Yes.
So you're basically living on top of each other.
Yeah.
And what happens is basically the local basketball court, which is probably one basketball court, and the oval becomes as young people, your backyard, because you don't have a backyard. In the house, you basically have a kitchen, a lounge room, and that's it. So
it's quite confined.
It's a very confined area. Yeah. So the only time you kind of get to hang out and socialize is when you go downstairs. Now you go downstairs, what the old people in the buildings want is quiet. They want peace and quiet. And so they don't like the young people hanging out downstairs in their backyard playing soccer. So where do these young people go? So then what happens is some of the people in the flats call the police, say, hey, we don't want these young people playing around here. So what happens is the police come and they say, well, you guys, can you keep it down? You're not supposed to be here. Some officers are very arrogant about it, and they just say, that's it, get lost. And then there are obviously some who take it even further than that. And so over the years of growing up there, I saw a lot of the young people, and when we first moved in there was a lot of drug dealing, and there used to be needles in the parks and all that kind of stuff. And so we basically moved into this environment which was already setting us up for failure. Just even from that, you can see where the story is heading. You can see that, if you put young people in an environment where certain things are normalized over a period of time, they think it's normal.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
They used to. I remember when we were young kids, smoking a cigarette was like, wow, man, you're not allowed to go near that.
Exactly.
And now it's almost normalized. And then the same thing with drugs, the same things with theft, because that's what the environment was like.
From your experience, how do you even start resolving some of these issues that affect young people in that area, or families for that matter?
I guess one of the best ways to address that is by having a strong community. By having a strong community, I mean really resilient people who are around you. People who can give you opportunities. That helps a lot, because that takes you away from hanging out under the flat because you have nothing to do. Having people who can actually kind of coach and mentor, because they can actually show you a path to where you want to get to. I think one of the things is, as young people, when you're really young, you have these huge goals, and then as you get older, you can't actually find a pathway to it.
Yeah.
So over the years, you become you become hardened, and you lose sight of the goals and dreams that you had, and you
May
know,
even be discouraged.
yeah, you become discouraged, and that's it, man. From that, you know, the only kind of pathways you have is either, you know, to work at a local factory or Macca's, because that's what you can see. You know, those bigger doors aren't open. So I think a lot of it is about opportunities and having access to those opportunities, and I think a lot of it is about creating mentors in the community who have come from the same area and who can kind of say, well, you know, it's not really that hard. You just have to focus.
Talking of, for instance, one specific problem with the police, you mentioned that a little bit. How do you see? Apparently, over the last couple of years or so, there's been quite a bit of an improvement in the relationship between the police and the community there. Is that your feeling as well?
Well, in terms of young people, I'll speak on behalf of young people, because that's where a lot of the problems are. I think a lot of the young people are very disengaged and don't want anything to do with the police, and I think in some ways that's justified, because a lot of the police in the area have, you know, beaten up a lot of young people, and you know, I'm not saying young people innocent. You know, some people do commit crimes as well, but the problem is that relationship, and I think police like to come. I think the issue is there's a power imbalance. I think when young people are just being young people, police get told on to do their particular job, and in that confrontation, there's a huge power imbalance, and young people feel that like there's a huge injustice that's occurred and that hasn't been resolved. Victoria Police has never apologized for the actions of some of the police members. So as young people, rightly so, they feel a huge injustice, and they feel like Victoria Police come and all they do is they offer you opportunities, but they never apologize for what's happened, and they never say we're going to change. They always say we're going to change our practices, but the experiences of young people in the area isn't any different.
They don't actually get to do what they say they want to do.
And for some of the officers that actually commit these, they get moved on, and instead of getting demoted, they get promoted in different areas. And when you see something like this, it's very discouraging for a young person, and you can see why they hold a lot of grudges. And so that's why that relationship with young people is still
not really what you want, where you would want it.
Yeah, it's not really conducive. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll probably need a bit more time to pretty much a whole show to talk about the issues with the police and the young people there. And as we're about to wrap it up, what sort of message have you got for your young fellows out there, and generally for members of the African Australian community everywhere?
I think generally for the whole community, what I'd like to say is that there's a lot of goodwill in the community, and I think that finding those people who can actually support you is key, and it'll definitely be a very mutual, long-term, beneficial relationship. With the challenges that you kind of face, I think focusing on what you can do about it, focusing on how you can get out of the situation is going to be a lot more conducive to you getting the results that you want. And I think always look at the bigger picture. I don't think we should settle for the small things that happen. Don't let the little issues that sometimes they may not look little, but in the scope of your whole life, they're very small. And
that's right.
Maybe looking at the bigger picture will help you actually overcome some of those difficulties.
Daniel, thanks very much for your time today. I wish we would have had a bit more time, but I'm sure it's not the last time we'll see you here. We'd like to see you again next time to even talk more about a variety of things. I sense there's quite a lot of things that you can share with members of the African Australian community. So thanks very much for your time, and Africa Media is open for you. Come back anytime.
All right, thank you very much, Glenn. I'll definitely see you next time.
No worries.